Good evening, everyone. Please, can you let me know in the chat if I'm audible? Great, great, great. Okay. Uh, Great. Okay. Great. So we shall start with the seminar we have for today. Good evening to one and all present. It is my privilege to welcome each one of you to this exclusive knowledge sharing webinar on Scholastic Esports. On behalf of the entire team at desportz, I sincerely thank you for taking time to join us today. Myself, Aditya Kailas Nair, Director at desportz, India's first institute of esports for training and academics, and it is my pleasure to host today's session. Your presence reflects your commitment to exploring innovative educational practices that prepare students with the skills needed for an evolving world. So, before we begin, let me brief you about what desportz is and what we do. So at esports, we believe esports is far more than recreational gaming. We implement it through a structured scholastic framework. It becomes a meaningful educational platform that can help students develop in collaboration, communication, critical thinking, leadership, and digital literacy and responsible technology use. Along with my team of DSports, we are on a mission to work alongside educators and institutions to encourage the responsible adoption of scholastic esports as a structured co-curricular initiative that comprehenses holistic student development. Let me share a brief about today's session before we start for it. So you all will agree that today's education is evolving rapidly. Students learn in a very different way. They collaborate very differently. The problem mechanics or the problem solving solutions is very different. As educators, the responsibility is to continuously explore approaches that make learning more engaging, relevant, and meaningful. Across the world, schools are exploring multiple innovative ideas. Scholastic esports is one such approach, not merely as gaming, but as a structured educational framework that promotes experimental learning, student engagement, and digital literacy. Naturally, the main questions arise. What is exactly Scholastic Esports? How does it support student learning and development? How can it contribute to future ready skills? And last, how can schools implement it responsibly and safely? These are the questions we have we hope for today's webinar will help answer. And with that note, let me now introduce you to our keynote speaker. Joining us from the United States is Heidi Albin, one of the leading voices in scholastic esports and game-based learning. Heidi from PlayVS, the organization at the forefront of scholastic esports and gaming concepts across USA, empowering many schools through structured educational programs in the safe and secured environment of schools. She is an award-winning educator, STEM leader, curriculum designer, and and the recipient of prestigious U.S. Presidential Award for Excellence in Maths and Science Teaching, as well as an Milken Educator Award. I invite Ms. Heidi Albin to join us today and share more about herself and global perspectives and insights about scholastic esports and the education, how it can support us in India as well. Please join me in extending a warm virtual welcome to Miss Heidi Albin.
Thank you so
Hello,
much.
Hello,
I'm
Heidi.
hello. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you so much for the honor of getting to be on this webinar and to present and to work with your wonderful country. And it's very exciting to get to collaborate in this way. I want to, first of all, share my screen. So give me one moment to make sure that that is all appearing correctly. All right, do we see my screen exactly the way it should appear? Fantastic. All right, so today we're going to, as you just heard, today we're going to be learning about how Scholastic Esports can be used to increase engagement, academics, social skills, well-being, mental health, and so much more. It goes far beyond just entertainment. It goes far beyond gaming. And I would like to acknowledge desportz as the official execution partner for India. And again, I'm so grateful for them letting me share this webinar with you. I have some of my credentials up here so that you can contact me. My contact information is there. But the credential that I want to highlight the most is that I was a classroom teacher. The thing on that slide that I'm most proud of and that I think is most important is that I was in the classroom with students for 14 years. And so when I discuss these teaching practices with you, I'm speaking as a fellow educator who has experienced teaching practices in a real classroom. I'm not coming to you as an academic. I'm not coming as a policymaker. I'm coming as a fellow educator who loves students and has seen these teaching practices help my students. And that's why I'm passionate about this. The main thing that we're going to learn today is that Scholastic Esports is not just about kids playing games. I'm going to re-emphasize that several times. When gaming is implemented as Scholastic Esports, it is no longer entertainment. In fact, it's no longer even about gaming. It's about multiple mental activities all happening at once, inclusiveness, mental health, well-being, and digital literacy, and so much more. So as we dive in, please keep that in mind. And there will be the chat is open for you to ask questions. And at the end, any questions that are not able to be answered in the chat, we'll have some time for questions and answers that I will address. I want to start by giving you a brief history of where this concept came from, where the concept of gaming concepts and the curriculum and using this in schools, where this concept came from. This started at an alternative high school, and in the United States, that is a school for, at least our school was a school for students who were higher risk. It was the dropout prevention program, and this was my first teaching job, and we had 8 staff members and 60 students. So we were a very small school for our region. And we were encouraged by our principal, Christy, who is this gal right here. I'm not sure if you can see my pointer. We were encouraged by her to do passion projects. She said, if it's something that you are going to be interested in, the students will be interested in it as well. So our social studies teacher, Mike Russell, who is now Dr. Mike, and Christy is now Dr. Christy Custer. So Dr. Mike Russell at the time was a social studies teacher, and he said to Christy, my passion project is video games, and I think that if we can bring video games into the school, this will be something that can really reach a lot of students. And Christy, being innovative, approved it, but it needed to be done during the school day. The nature of our students' situations made it to where they weren't always able to be engaged after school because they had other responsibilities. So we needed to bring this in during the school day. Mike and Christy wrote a curriculum that brought esports into the classroom and taught life skills, career exploration, character, well-being, and everything else that we know we need to teach our students, but we don't really have a specific class for those topics, right? In what class do you teach students how to manage friendships when they have a problem, right? And so we put all of that in this class. Now, before I tell you how it turned out, I need to tell you a little bit about my viewpoint at the time. So at the time, I was the science teacher, and my entire life mission was to get kids away from screens. I believed that screens were terrible. I believed that the more time kids were on screens, that it just was rotting their brains. And so when they told me that they were going to implement this at the school, I was supportive, because I figured it would help some students, but I didn't really think it would make that much of a difference. And I didn't really see the vision that Mike and Christy had. Well, it made a massive impact. We had students who were disengaged become engaged. These pictures here, of course, are of our students. And just like the educators attending this webinar, you could look at pictures of your students and tell stories about each and every one of them. And I could tell you stories about each of these students and how the gaming concepts and the Scholastic Esports not only changed their experience at school, but really changed their entire educational experience. As I said, there were students who were disengaged, who were at risk of dropping out, who became engaged. In fact, our school didn't have a mascot until our esports team said, we need a mascot because we want jerseys, because we need more school spirit in this school. And that came from the students. We had a student who was nonverbal due to trauma become the team captain and become verbal because suddenly he had something that he was passionate about and excited about. And we had these high school dropouts who returned to high school and then were looking for colleges with esports teams and scholarships because they wanted to advance their careers to do something productive and worthwhile within the esports industry, which, as we'll see later, includes much more than just playing games. And the curriculum that Mike and Christy wrote, well, they put it online to share it with any teacher who wanted it. And it got picked up by a little company called Microsoft, and Microsoft added it to their resource site. This was back in 2016 when this was all very new. And it got downloaded over 400,000 times in 40 different countries across the world. And so the impact wasn't limited to our school. Scholastic Gaming was helping kids on a larger scale than we could have ever imagined. Let's talk about why this worked so well at our school and why it's worked so well for many other schools. But to do that, first we need to look at some trends. We're in the United States seeing some alarming trends in attendance, engagement, belonging, and behavior. Our national chronic absenteeism rate is 22%. For us, chronically absent means missing 10% of a school year or more. And almost 1 in 4 students are chronically absent. As far as engagement goes, the United States education is slowly recovering from the pandemic, but the rebound is not being felt equally. Engagement and attendance gaps have actually widened for some specific populations since 2020. Belonging, only 34% of elementary and 42% of high school students reported feeling a strong sense of belonging at their school. That breaks my heart. No wonder we're having issues with attendance if they don't feel like they belong. As far as behavior, 80% of teachers report having to address behavioral issues at least a few times a week. And 58%, so over half of teachers, say they deal with significant behavior issues every single day. And this is not good news, but what this is an opportunity for growth and an opportunity to find innovative solutions. Education around the world is struggling to regain lost ground from the COVID pandemic. I'm wondering what kinds of trends in attendance, engagement, belonging, and behavior are you experiencing with education in India? Please put some thoughts and responses in the chat. So we've seen some trends in India that are also showing some issues that arose during the pandemic, and we're still trying to find solutions for them. And this program, what Scholastic Esports in general, is one of those solutions. Let me show you how these trends changed for our students when we implemented Scholastic Gaming at our alternative high school. You can see the statistics on this slide. I won't go through all of them, but I'll summarize them as those 4 different categories. For engagement, there was increased peer interaction and increased classroom participation. 100% of students reported increased peer interaction. And the other one that I really like is that this one that says students had fun. We take fun out of schools sometimes. And we take fun out of schools not only for the students, but we take the fun out for the instructors and the staff as well. And this brought fun back. As far as belonging goes, 90% of the students who participated in this program had never participated in extracurricular activities before. So again, this shows that these were disengaged students who were now engaged and found belonging. Behavior, decreased toxicity, and increased anger management was reported by the majority of students. Think about what that does for a school culture if you could decrease toxicity and increase anger management among your students. And then what I think is the most shocking is the attendance statistic. Keep in mind that this was a dropout prevention program, an alternative high school, and we put this class in the first hour, so the very first class of the day. And our attendance rate for that class by alternative dropout prevention students, the first hour of the day was 96%, which is wild, right? So we saw these huge results, and it wasn't just our school. I mentioned that other schools adopted this methodology as well. And there's some school stories that I like to share here briefly. One of my favorites is that this school was able to implement a girls' team. This school was able to get more girls involved in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, these STEM subjects, because they found a sport that they could compete in, that there weren't locker rooms and they could have any ability level, and they were able to create an all-girls team, which brought more girls into these science, technology, engineering, and mathematics interests areas. And the other thing we saw in these schools is that students love it. They want to learn. When gaming concepts curriculum is introduced into schools, students respond. In each of these case studies here, the student response for wanting to take courses supported by Scholastic Gaming was massive. One school had 100 students on the wait list. In another school, an entire quarter of the student population enrolled in gaming concepts. It became the most sought after elective category for one district, and the number of students trying out for the after-school esports team rivaled the levels of students who were trying to join traditional sports. So it exploded in a good way. And we found that when schools connect to student identity and interest, students show up literally and emotionally. So why are esports such a good fit for schools, and why could it be a good fit for your school? Well, first of all, healthy and structured competition drives engagement. As I mentioned before, this is a team, so this can be done during school and after school as curriculum and as an after school team. And as we'll see later, when you combine those two, the results are even more engaging. But as an after school team, there's no locker rooms. The teams don't have to be a girls team or a boys team. It's done in a learning environment. And during the school day, esports can be used to engage students in academic content, which increases engagement and attendance. But what I think the biggest factor is that it gives students a why. It increases belonging because students need a why to come to school. And what putting Scholastic Esports in school does is it sets up this mental concepts where students think, I'm good at video games. Video games are in school. Therefore, I'm good at school. Or I like video games. Video games are part of school. Therefore, I like school. And that's how you get a previously disengaged population who suddenly engages. And on top of all that, they're also connecting with a caring adult. Let's take a look at some evidence to back this up. Two of the top educational researchers in the United States performed a 5-year study of the trends from the Gaming Concepts Scholastic Gaming's program. They tracked thousands of students, right? It wasn't just one class, it was thousands of students over 5 years. And they compared 3 groups of students. So the 3 groups that they broke students into for analysis was those who were not involved in scholastic gaming at all, so not the curriculum and not the after school team. The second group was those who were part of an esports team. And then the third group were those who were part of an esports team and were also taking gaming concepts curriculum during the school day. So this esports platform was being used during the school day as well. And the results were amazing. Let's take a look at them. First, we're going to look at the attendance analysis. As you can see on the chart, just being on an esports team, right? So this is just having an after-school club where students can come and be part of a team, resulted in students attending an average of 5 more days of school per year compared to the control group. That's an entire week of instructional time recovered for every student on the team. But the most powerful discovery was the impact of the gaming concepts curriculum paired with the after-school esports program. When students participated in both the curriculum and the competitive team, that gain in attendance jumped to 7 additional days. And this data supports the claim that while the excitement of competition gets students through the door, the structured curriculum is what provides the deep academic and social connection that keeps them in their seats for an extra week and a half every year. But attendance is only half of the story. Let's take a look at the behavior data. By combining competitive esports teams with a structured gaming concepts curriculum, we build a sense of belonging and community. This isn't just fun. It creates real-world accountability. For example, if you want to stay on the team, you have to regulate your behavior, you have to keep your academics up, you have accountability. And the evidence from this 5-year study is cause for optimism. The data suggests that you could expect to see an increase in attendance coupled with a decrease in classroom behavior incidences. So attendance is increasing and behavior incidences are decreasing, right? Its behavior is improving. And the strongest results are appearing in students who participated in both the curriculum and the team. And again, what's important to note is that these aren't just 1-year anomalies. These trends remain stable and statistically significant over 5 years, even as the programs expanded to more students. And this backs up the claim that scholastic gaming isn't just entertainment. It's an intentional tool for building accountability, self-regulation, and a more positive, connected school climate. When our most at-risk or disconnected students become regulated, focused, and connected, it doesn't just help them, it results in a safer, more focused school climate for everyone in the building. And here's the thing about teaching practices that help students who are at risk. They also work for students who are accelerated students or students who are advanced, right? These same feeding a child is going to be just as good for a malnourished child as for a child who is not malnourished. These same teaching practices that work so well with these populations that are struggling will also help empower populations that are not struggling or are already advanced. So let's take a look at why gaming concepts curriculum is such an effective strategy. And what I mean by the gaming concepts curriculum is, as I mentioned before, you can implement Scholastic Esports in your school 2 different ways. You can have an after-school esports team, which we see does create results. And you can also bring the platform of esports into the school day as a way to teach curriculum with the theme of esports. So for example, we do not teach students how to play video games. That's not what this curriculum is about. What it uses is the idea of esports as a student engagement hook, something to get them interested, to teach them traditional content. One of my favorite classes is the streaming class. So our streaming class is speech. And I don't know about your students, but my students were not super excited about taking a speech class. They didn't want to have to talk in front of their classmates. They didn't want to have to write speeches. But we found that if you don't call it speech, you call it streaming, and you put a webcam in front of their face, or even a fake webcam, or even no webcam at all, you just say, pretend you're talking to a webcam, and you let them talk about esports or a topic they're interested in, students really, really want to take the class, and they're learning the same content. It's the same competencies for public communication, but they're doing it in a way that engages them and that they care about. So that's what the idea of bringing Scholastic Esports into the school day looks like. Again, it's not teaching kids how to play video games. It's using the topic of video games to teach curriculum and core competencies that we are already wanting to teach the students. All right, so why this works is, first of all, it's rigorous. The Gaming Concepts curriculum is aligned to the International Society for Technology and Education 7 standards, the ISTE, and the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning Competencies. So these international standards are aligned in every single one of the Gaming Concepts courses. Now, just to give you a visual of the additional rigor that is incorporated into each of the courses, I've listed some of the other standard sets that are in our courses. Now, of course, these are United States standard sets, but this is here to illustrate that it's very rigorous. It's, again, not just like, oh, let's play games and have fun. It's, let's look at these core competencies and everything that the students need to learn, and let's make sure we're hitting that in an effective and valuable way that's going to stick with students so that they really learn the content. The next thing is we include career connections. And this, we have found, is so important because it gives kids hope for a future. When students discover a career they're interested in and they're provided with the soft skills to prepare them for it, they have more motivation to do their best at school. One of my favorite stories is a student I was talking to who was just not engaging. And I said, what do you want to do in life? What's your motivation? And he said, I don't want to do anything. I'm going to work at, some job that I don't particularly enjoy. And then I'm going to go home and play video games with my friends online all night because that's what I like doing. And I said, you could get a job in the video game industry, right? And he looked at me and he was like, what? I was like, yeah, you don't have to just you can be an accountant, you can be a lawyer, you can be a media representative, you can be a marketing director. There's all these careers in the esports industry that you can have while pursuing your passion. And this student suddenly had this hope of a future that he could see for himself, and he started participating more. His grades increased because now he had a why. And so career connections in the curriculum not only introduces students to a wide range of careers that are available to them, but it also teaches students these soft skills that they need in order to get these careers. For example, they build resumes, they build portfolios, they practice interview skills, they practice public speaking, they learn how to fill out applications so that they have that feeling of confidence and empowerment to go out and get the jobs that they want. Another thing that is embedded in all of the courses are practical life skills. And I mentioned earlier, there's so many things that we need to teach our students, but we don't really know what class we put these in. What class do you teach students about, getting involved, like why it's good to be involved in your community or in your school? And what class do you teach them about navigating conflict with their parents or with their family members or friends? And so we found that Scholastic Esports is a fantastic way to bring in these life skills because we talk about it in terms of their character. Your character in a game has to do what in the esports world they call grinding. And grinding is doing repetitive tasks in the video game over and over again to raise your experience skills. Well, we relate that to, in life, there's a lot of grinding you have to do. You have to wake up on time every day. You have to brush your teeth. You have to go to school. on time. You have to complete all of these little things. And even though those little actions don't seem like they'd have a big consequence if you missed them once or twice, they build up into experience points that let you level up in life, right? And it makes it so much more authentic to students than just saying, you need to be sure you're responsible and wake up and come to school every day, right? It gives them a way to connect to these concepts that are so important for them. My biggest passion about the curriculum is that it also addresses student mental health and well-being. And this is a massive need around the world. In both the United States and India, students are experiencing mental health challenges and struggle to receive the care that they need. Now, obviously, this curriculum is not going to be mental health care, right? But what if we could seamlessly incorporate some preventative mental well-being ideas into a curriculum that students are receiving anyway during the school day? Well, we did that, and it made a huge difference. When we incorporate well-being directly into our lessons, and we call them mental health moments. And these are included in every single course. And we knew that it made a giant difference with our students because we saw it. And so we wanted to have a study done to validate that. So this study was conducted to examine the impacts of these mental health moments. And the results from the study show that in just one semester, so this is just half of a school year, right? 62% of students who participated in the Gaming Concepts curriculum with mental health moments showed significant improvements in their self-esteem. If you could improve the self-esteem of 62% of your students, what would that do for your school culture? What would that do for your students and their hope and their future? This was measured by the Rosenberg self-esteem scale. And this shows data that this makes Gaming Concepts and incorporating these mental health moments a valuable resource for schools that are looking for mental health resources. And what students love the most about Gaming Concepts is that they get to play games, right? But again, it's not just entertainment. When students play games in these Scholastic Esports courses, right? So this is going to be a limited, structured time during the class where they play video games while applying what they learned. So they're playing for a purpose. There's a daily prompt that relates their gameplay to the lesson. So for example, in our entrepreneurship course, students will examine the type of business revenue models that appear in their in-game economy, right? The coins that you use or the jewels that you use, what kind of business revenue is that? What kind of service industries are in the video game? And so they relate it to something that they enjoy, and it makes the content stick a lot better. There's also journal reflections at the end of most lessons to increase student writing skills. And these journal reflections also often relate back to their purposeful play. And so when people ask me, how can you justify having students play, 15 to 20 minutes of video game during a 90-minute class? How can you justify using class time for that? I say, the same way that we justify band practice, right? Think about a lot of students who are in band are probably not going to grow up to be professional musicians. That student playing the trombone is probably, most of them are not going to grow up to pursue that as a career. But we know as educators that using school times for that student to practice that trombone is valuable. It builds teamwork. Listening to the band director, fulfilling responsibilities to band members. You have to practice because the band can't be better than its worst, its least practiced person. It requires balancing multiple mental and physical activities. And so purposeful play, video games, it's the same way. As these students are playing in a structured, limited time during class, they are working on teamwork and their social skills, and they're learning how to communicate with each other and how to manage their emotions as they get upset. And this is why you should have good language, because, if you get upset and you don't have good control over your language, you're going to let something inappropriate slip. And it just relates to life in so many different ways. And so again, this is not just entertainment. It's not just playing video games. It's an intentional tool for building accountability, self-regulation, and a more positive connected school climate. And the other fun thing about purposeful play is it does not have to be video games. It does not have to be on screen. It can be card games. It can be physical games. It can be anything that has students working with one another and functioning as a cohesive unit. So for schools who are maybe a little reluctant to have students, on screens as much, or, doing video games for this does not have to be video games. It does not have to be on screens. Bring in a few board games and it teaches similar skills. And something that is very exciting is that as of 2025, India has actually recognized these benefits at a national level through the India Online Gaming Bill. So esports in India is now recognized as a skill-based competitive activity within the National Youth and Sports Development Framework. Scholastic gaming is distinguished from casual gaming, and it is supported through structured participation, institutional oversight, and ethical governance. So this is exciting for educators everywhere wanting to bring this to their students, because it's now an online gaming bill recognized nationally in India. So the students see fun, adults see intentional and educational content. It increases engagement, it increases attendance, it increases student-teacher relationships, it blends social learning, emotional learning, academics, and student interests. But I do want to take a moment to talk about screen time, because what this type of engagement does is it brings scholastic gaming into the realm of productive screen time. We know that excessive passive screen time can have negative effects, and schools sometimes address this by limiting all screen time. However, productive screen time is active, structured, and purposeful. And when students play under a proper curriculum, they're communicating under pressure, strategizing as a team, problem solving, and developing high-level digital literacy. If we panic and we issue blanket bans on all screens, we accidentally block our children from learning the very tech skills that they need to survive in the modern workforce. So a better strategy than just limiting all screen time is to encourage productive screen time while limiting or eliminating passive screen time. And so Scholastic Esports doesn't add to the problem of screen time. It's the structured solution that we've been looking for. And gaming concepts also serves as a solution for attendance, engagement, academics, and community. Simply put, implementing PlayVS and the scholastic gaming concepts leads to an improved school environment for students and a greater growth and improvement in the individual students. We have 10 courses, including elementary content, and they're all evidence-based, standard-aligned. They have the mental health moments, the life skills, the career skills, and they've received multiple recognitions as well. If you would like to explore the curriculum that's available to you more, you can here. As the official execution partner for Scholastic Esports in India, desportz can provide you with the resources you need to bring about positive change in your schools. This QR code will direct you to a form that you can fill out to receive the expanded India-specific catalog. And that's where I'm going to end the lecture part of my webinar, and I want to open it up to questions.
Yes, thank you, Heidi, for such an insightful session. I would now request all the participants to either write your query, or you can raise your hand and we can unmute you and we can have verbal communication with Miss Heidi. Yes, Sugandha ma'am. Good afternoon.
Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Wonderful session. Hi, Adi. I was really impressed by the well thought, the plan that has been made. There was just one query I had. I usually teach the 11th and 12th graders, and I love the way you have blended life skills as a necessity in gaming. So I just had one query. I mean, as per your guidance or as per the courses that you're offering, what age group would you suggest we start with blending the concept of gaming along with curriculums?
It really works well at every grade level. We
Okay.
have curriculum that starts in third grade. And so you could start as early as third grade, and then
Okay.
it works well throughout the rest of the school years all the way through 12th grade. And so our courses cover, technology skills, basic technology skills at the elementary level. We talk a lot about safety and how to engage in the technological world as a child. And then in the middle school courses, we start to bring more of the life skills and the soft skills into that. And then in the high school courses, we become much more content driven. This is where we bring in that streaming course. We bring in shoutcasting, which is the same competencies as journalism, but students are more interested because it's journalism for esports, right? There's digital media, there's entrepreneurship, computer applications. So it really is an effective strategy for all grade levels. My personal experience is with students in the secondary level, and most of our students were actually 11th and 12th grade students when we started this. So we see
Right.
it work across grade levels.
Perfect. I guess that would be a perfect match since I teach the 11th and 12th graders as well. So I could
Great.
start with them. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Mhm. Uh, to all the teachers available, ma'am, you can just pass on your questions on the chat box also if you want that to be. I'll be addressing it to Heidi. And if you wish again to speak like Sugandha ma'am, you may definitely unmute yourself.
As we're waiting for questions, I think one way that I can illustrate the curriculum a little bit better is by giving you the example of our computer applications course. So computer applications is teaching students how to use spreadsheets and word processing documents and slide decks and all of these tools that we use on our computers in the professional world. Well, I remember when I was in high school, the computer applications class for me looked like this. They gave me a picture of a spreadsheet and they said, make this on the computer. And it would have nothing to do with anything I was interested in. It was all random numbers. I did not care. It was very tedious, right? So what we did with this computer applications course is we combined it with a entrepreneurship course. And what students do throughout this course is they actually develop a business, and this business can be an esports adjacent business. So perhaps it is an esports marketing business or a technology support business for an esports, or maybe it's an esports team or a company that creates jerseys for the teams. So any type of business that they're interested in. And then as they develop this business, they use the different tools in the Google suite to create their business plan. They do market research with Google Analytics. They use spreadsheets to make reports and graphs and tables and to calculate their statistics. And they use slide decks to make a business pitch and presentation. And they use skills to pitch their business and look for funding. And of course, this is all hypothetical. They're not actually starting a business. Of course, if they wanted to, they could, but it makes the learning something that they care about. So when they're creating a spreadsheet, instead of it just being a spreadsheet that they're copying that they don't care about, they're creating a spreadsheet from the market research that they did after creating a business proposal and a purpose statement and exploring different types of marketing strategies. And then when they're creating a slide deck, they're not just creating some random slide that they're supposed to copy. They're creating a marketing strategy pitch to share with their teams to present their business. And so it's all about engaging students, teaching that content. When you have these content items, they can be taught in several different ways. You can write them up on the board and you can say, business revenue models are these types of strategies, right? And then have students record them and take notes. Or you can have students discover them as they learn about business revenue strategies within a video game. Either way, they're learning the same competencies, but which one is going to stick with them better? The one that they're interested in.
Great. We have one question from Sal sir also. What is the cost and mode of payment? Sal sir, you can just drop down your number and with your school's information, and we'll be reaching out to you and we'll explain it over there. Okay, great. Anyone else with the questions? Please, you may add it down. Sal sir, we will also do a demo for you also. We can present a demo also at that time. Curriculum resources will be available as we scan, right?
Yep, this scan code is going to take you to a form, and that form is going to bring you to help you get in contact with desportz, who will get you that expanded catalog, which has been modified to be specific for India.
Do we have any more questions? Okay, then we can end it over here. The question is session, obviously. Thank you thank you everyone for yes, thank you everyone for investing your valuable time and actually participating in today's session. We hope today's discussion has encouraged you to look beyond the traditional perception of what esports is, and also to explore its potential as an structured educational initiative. We hope today's session has encouraged you to look beyond the traditional perceptions of it. As the official Indian execution partner of for Play versus Gaming Concepts, the DSports team will be happy to answer any queries related to this. I shall be dropping down a number that you can reach out, and we'll be helping you out throughout it. I'll just add it over here also. To all, you can just reach out to this number, or you can send over a text, and we will be helping you out over there. If you'd like to receive any more, receive the gaming concepts by PlayVS school brochure also, we invite you to scan the QR displayed on your screen and complete the short form. We look forward to continuing this conversation and bringing innovative ideas, learning opportunities across schools in India. On behalf of the entire DSports team, thank you once again for joining. Have a wonderful evening, and we hope to welcome you again for a future knowledge sharing session. Thank you everyone. Thank you, Kathy ma'am. Thank you, Bijal ma'am. Thank you, Neeti ma'am. Thank you, Sugandha ma'am. Thank you, Sushma ma'am. Thank you, Shobha